Greetings, loves, and make sure you guys click a like. Make sure you share this video and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already subscribed and click the notification bell and leave a comment. Come on, help out the algorithm, okay? Liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing. These are the things that tells YouTube to actually show people my videos. So I thank you. All right. So, guys, here's an unfortunate story, and there are many, especially here in Georgia. So, I wanted to share this with you. Okay, there is a man, as you see here, who was found, and he was found in the High Shoal Falls in Georgia. Okay, his name is Trevante Jamal Schubert Helton, and he was only 29 years old, and he's from Sauti Nakuchi. And he was found hanging from a tree, and he was found by a hiker. He's found on February 21st. Now, the hiker called 911, and the town's county sheriff's department responded before contacting the GBI, which is the Georgia Bureau of Investigations. And according to the GBI, the preliminary investigation indicates that this was an isolated incident, and that is not true. You can do a little research and check the history on this. Georgia seems to have a problem with this kind of thing happening. And what usually happens with this, they usually rule it a suicide. Okay, so before we get into anything else, I would like to stress that we all very well know that Black people tend to have an unfortunate history, and I want to say current situation, with being hung against their will. Okay, that is well known and well documented. It's not that Black people don't tend to choose to remove themselves from the face of the earth. However, doing so by hanging, I don't think, and I'm not the only one, that is something that our people would do. Okay? I mean, if you think about it, I don't know that there's a real easy way to eliminate yourself, because you can try all you want and that may or may not succeed. So you have that, and it is just your natural instinct to preserve your own life. So any way that you could possibly try and think about has to be very difficult. I mean, to even tell your mind, your brain, which is programmed by design to save you, help you, right? Keep you going. It'd be very hard to even get past the thought, much less carry out the actions. Hanging is one that it's just let's say by natural instinct, you're going to try and undo it. Even if you're saying, well, I want to do this. When it's happening and you're in the act of, you're going to try and undo it. So you got to be pretty skilled to be able to put yourself in a position to where you're pretty sure that even if you wanted to and you try, you're not going to be able to physically. You're not going to be in a position to where you can leverage yourself and unhook yourself, right? So let's start there with the difficulty of doing that, right? And then we also have the trauma that is embedded within us to do so. People who normally choose to leave, it's not necessarily about hate for themselves, which we know that hangings have tend to be done because people, hate the person they're hanging. People usually tend to leave the earth, unfortunately, due to depression and just a lack of ability to see anything positive in their life outcome, and they're having some suffrages that they feel like this is the remedy for, right? Doing so by a hanging, with the trauma that we have from hanging, is just not something that we are quite willing to believe that any one of our people would do. Okay. So continuously labeling these things as hangings by oneself is, oh gosh, it's insulting to all of us at best. So yeah, we're going to have a lot to say when you continuously find people in this state and you are continuously coming up with this conclusion. There's a lot of talk on one of the Georgia Instagram pages, and there are a lot of people trying to make the assumption that that is what happened. Now, they did say it was an isolated incident, and I just don't know how that's not at all true. The statistics show that, this has happened several times here in Georgia as of recent. So the Georgia Department of Natural Resources will also assist in investigation. And High Shoals Falls is about 80 miles north of Atlanta. Georgia has an amazing amount of mountains, mounds, lakes, rivers, streams, waterfalls, just a lot of natural, man, Georgia. Okay, a lot of waterfalls and mountains and places you can go and hike. And this guy was with his girlfriend, and she did make a Facebook post. So as you can see, it says, one thing that would never change is how much I love you. Boy, I'm gonna miss you like crazy. I really hate that you're gone. I hate how things went, but you would never be forgotten. I love you so much and always will. You will always be my muffin man forever. Lord of the Things will forever be our movie. Maybe Lord of the Rings, but and Godzilla. Yeah, that one. R.I.P. baby, until we meet again. I love you. So there was a lot of media coverage actually about a guy who was found hanging from a tree in Piedmont Park. And it was a quick ruling of a self-doing. And it brought about cries of a cover-up. Okay. 5 days later, authorities finally identified the victim as a 22-year-old Jersey resident, and his name was Michael George Smith Jr. But, they still had unanswered questions and a lot of conspiracy theory talk. This is what the news is posting. Now, there was a security guard, and he was making his unusual pre-dawn patrol past the park entrance on 10th Avenue and Charles Allen Avenue, and he approached the Free Nelson Mandela Monument. And he came upon an unthinkable sight, a young African man, skinny, clean cut, and wearing Chuck Taylors. And he was hanging from a tree with a white rope around his neck. And he, of course, called the police. And they quickly ruled out foul play and deemed it a self-doing because pollen on his shirt suggested that he climbed a tree. And he was still wearing earbuds. And they said there were no signs of struggle. So even if he'd done this to himself, do you guys think he would have struggled? Who is capable of actively choking and not trying to help themselves? Okay. So in 2020, law enforcement officials in Georgia determined that another black teenager found over that weekend, Omari Bryant, was of his own self-doing. He was 18 years old, guys. And his family maintains that that is just not so. And he was found actually outside of a motel in Homerville, Georgia. Okay. Now, the family and friends and community leaders were calling for an independent investigation into that suspicious ordeal. But, at the end of the day, they seem to keep winning, right? So back in 2020, there was an incident where 5 black and brown men were found. And there were mass protests against racism and police brutality. There were 4 black men and 1 Latina. It said Latinx. I don't know. I guess Latina is female. I'm sorry, y'all. Correct me on this. Help me out. But he was found hanging in the public. And this was across the U.S. actually. And there's more in Georgia. I'm just giving you guys a couple of examples here. There was a documentary called Always in Season, and it examines the history of lynchings throughout the story of Lennon Lacy. And that is an African-American teenager who was found hung from a swing set in 2014. And they said they deserve a full investigation. Now, Olive says of the recent hangings, and given the context of the history, that we look at them more than 3 days, and then they are looked at as a whole. Okay. Oh my goodness. This is just... Now, all 5 were initially deemed as self-doings, but the community advocates, scholars, and those all too familiar with America's racist history says that these are possible lynchings. Now, in Palmdale, California, authorities were investigating a 24-year-old black man named Robert Fuller, who was found hanging from a tree near the community city hall earlier that month. And city officials said that it was his own self-doing. It is difficult trying to bypass all these words that YouTube will punish you for. Okay? So bear with me, please. Now, they suggested that the cause was due to mental anguish related to the, that situation that was going on, the Rona. But his loved ones believe that he was indeed lynched. And the community has been holding protests and calling for justice. Now, a week after Fuller was found, Los Angeles County Sheriff deputies powwowed his brother, Taron Boone, in what authorities describe as a shootout. That's one of the words right there. It's a lot of them, guys. Interesting. It was in a desert town near Palmdale. Now, Robert Fuller's incident came 10 days after another black man, 38-year-old Malcolm Harsh, was found hanging from a tree about 50 miles away in Victorville, California on May 31st. This is 2020. After calling for further investigation, Malcolm Harsh's family said over the weekend that it was, in fact, his own self that did that. And they had reviewed video footage that the police provided. So community activists were still asking, why did it take so long for a thorough investigation? The family said that, huh? No further information on why they said that, because unless you know somebody got an illness, unless you was there, don't be speaking on what happened to me, son. To say like I did it, or nobody hurt me, like I need more context as to why they saying that, because I don't trust family, nobody, absolutely nobody. Well, in New York, the police, family, they can be bought with $1, boy. Now, especially nowadays, that's the thing. Payday, I give you 55,000 each if you just say, blah blah blah. I'm not suggesting that about his family. I'm just saying those are my first thoughts. All right. So in New York Police Department was investigating something that happened to Dominique Alexander, and he was a 27-year-old black man, and he was found and he was hanged. Okay, in Manhattan Park. All right, the local Meadow Examiner's office ruled that, he did that to himself. And in Texas, Congress member Sheila Jackson Lee of Houston called for an investigation after two recent hangings. And this is still 2020. The police found a 17-year-old black boy hanging from a tree in an elementary school playground in Spring, Texas. And earlier that week, a Latinx. It says Latinx. I've never heard that before. So I'm guessing that is for male. That's interesting. I gotta look into that. All right, learn something today. Well, he was found hanged in Houston. And this all comes as a noose was found in the garage stall of Bubba Wallace, the only African-American driver in NASCAR's Elite Cup Series. And Wallace had recently led a successful campaign to get NASCAR to ban displays of Confederate flags from his events. So dang, they put okay. Oh boy. So guys, take some time, because I know y'all gonna be checking out the Wendy Williams documentary this weekend, and I got some interesting videos I'll be posting on her throughout the weekend. Prayers to did I say Whitney Houston? Wendy Williams. I don't know why Whitney Houston popped up. Maybe because I'm still editing, and her and Whitney had a we'll talk about that. But there was a documentary out of North Carolina. Okay, Miss Jacqueline Olive is a director of film, and she directed a documentary called Always in Season. Actually, this is my first time hearing of it, and I'm going to be looking it up. I am a documentary lover. Okay, I'm in a documentary club, y'all, just like a book club. And of course, I co-run one of those too. But it's called Always in Season. And I have a web link. It's a PDF, and it has tons and tons of documentaries on all types of subjects. So if you are a channel member and you would like one of those, just tell me, what subjects you're interested in. And I mean, there are literally thousands, okay, where you can see them all for free. I will send you one via email. But Always in Season actually premiered at the Sundance Film Festival in 2019. I got this information from Democracy Now!, which is a great place of business. You can check out their website, their podcast, their YouTube page, and they talk about a lot of controversial issues. Okay. So they actually have a clip and a transcript from the documentary, and they actually interviewed the woman who did the documentary. So check that out when you get a chance. So in 2017, the police chief of a small Georgia city publicly apologized for the lynching of a young black man almost 77 years ago. An official gesture, historians say, is rare in the U.S. South. Okay, I gotta give just first thing that comes to mind. I don't care about his apology for one person, and my apologies to the family if it meant a lot to you. I'm sure it I'm sure it did. Okay. But what I am saying is, people make it seem like it is a grand gesture to apologize for any isolated incidents that occurred to us out of sheer evil hate and jealousy and attempts of oppression when this was done on a consistent basis for years and years, right? And there have been almost no changes done. They just transform the way that they still carry out these type of acts, and we have not gotten any type of compensation while they continue to benefit from everything that they have done. So it's insulting to me. That's why I still extend any condolences and understandings of the hurt and grievances of this particular family, if they even received this apology. But it still happened, okay? And it happened to all of us. There is not no black people around here who hasn't had family members that were tortured, hung, and more, okay? But in this incident, it was Austin Calloway who was abducted by a mob of white men from the jail in LaGrange, Georgia. And this was in September of 1940. He was driven into the woods and they pow, 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 pow. And, YouTube wants us to say pow, 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 and pew, pew, and other little cartoonish, childish sounding things that you hear people say that you eventually find out, or you immediately figure out that it translates into SHOT or SHOOT or GUN. This is, it's taught to YouTube. Got us out here sounding crazy from left to right. Okay. Calloway, thought to be about 18, had been jailed on allegations. What y'all think the allegations were? Well, come on now. They said he did something to a white lady. You know how that go. Okay. Now, the police in LaGrange, 70 miles, 112 kilometers, in case you want to know that too, southwest of Atlanta, never investigated Calloway's demise or kept a record of the mob breaking into the jail. Well, we ain't surprised. Okay, see, that's what I'm saying. Apology. Stop playing. It was as if it was erased from the memory of the white community. And I am reading directly from the article for those who come over here and continuously try and claim that my channel is racist and everything has to do with race. Well, guess what? I'm not racist, actually, but everything does have to do with race. Race is involved in everything. That's just a fact. You can't deny that. So when someone speaks on anything racial and you say that, they're racist, then you gonna, from now on, I'm just gonna ban you from the page. You can't even comment no more. You can do whatever else you want to do. I really don't care, because you do it anyway, But you won't be coming over here with that kind of talk, so save it. I'm gonna have to make sure I put that as one of the words that YouTube doesn't even allow, so I don't even get to see it. I'll set that up as soon as I'm done. Okay, but the black community still remembers, and I want to acknowledge that this happened, and it is wrong. And a ceremony was scheduled for that Thursday evening at United Methodist Church, in the former textile mill community, where the population is about 48% black. So we gonna make you feel good with this little bullshit ass, fake ass apology, and you still ain't getting no reparations. We still don't take our foot off your necks. We still ain't gonna keep, we ain't gonna change nothing we doing, nothing we benefited. We ain't gonna forfeit nothing. We ain't gonna give you nothing back, and you ain't gonna get your promise to reparations. All right, how about that? So Dagmar, 61, served as sheriff for 22 years, and he said he has never heard of Calloway until a few months ago, when an elderly black woman visited the police station. Looking at old photos of the officers on the wall, she said, those are the ones who did that thing. Okay? Stunned by her remark, he started to ask questions around town. His goal in offering an apology is to mend fences and help the whole community trust the police. Baby, bye. But I'm gonna let that one ride. The chief said the officers were wrong to do nothing about Calloway's death, but he did not suggest law enforcement was directly involved. Now, I will commend him for taking it upon himself, as this article alleges. I'm not saying that's the way I believe it went down, but that's what the article is saying. Okay, that he heard her say, the officers, they did that to that boy way back then, and he said, what happened to that boy? I really care. Let me go ask people and find out, and just become a little historian on the matter. And he found out that this happened, and he said, oh my God, this is horrible, I feel so bad, and I'm sorry they did this, and I'm gonna offer an apology and let y'all know that we ain't like that. We ain't like that, and we don't appreciate that, and that wasn't good. But I ain't gonna say my officers were involved now, which I don't know if he could, because he wasn't there, but I'm pretty sure more people than not said this is what happened. So that's basically all he had. But Ian Beck is a professor at the University of Georgia and studies race relations, and said such an apology was almost unheard of, particularly in Georgia. Now, more than 3,800 people, mostly black, were lynched in the U.S. South. YouTube, can we say lynched? Can we say that? I don't know. I guess they'll let me know. Well, this was between 1877 and 1950, often with the complicity or silence, or maybe even assistance. They forgot to put that, but I'm gonna make sure I add it, by the police. Beck said, this is significant, Beck said of Dekmar's message. I'm hoping other police departments will have the courage to, okay, I don't want to read no more. I mean, to highlight this and make it a thing, when you don't highlight the other things and make it a thing, bye.